Hey, Sabra, I'm back. I got another one for you, another mobile edition on the bike. As you can see, it's a nice Oregon day, overcast, kind of cool, but it's actually a nice welcome change. I don't mind days like this. Weather's nice and cool, it's not windy out. Get some outdoor exercise, not sweating too hard. Figured it'd be a nice time to make a video and go on a bike ride. So, okay, continuing on, miss. What are we talking about today? Yeah, so I'm still trying to continue in the vein of my adolescent years and picking out questions I think that are good and maybe things that you would like to know about me. So the question for today is, who was the biggest influence on your life when you were young? And was it positive or negative? Well, I'm trying to remember back then, kind of like high school, middle school years. Biggest influence on my life by far, I think without a question, is Papa. My dad, no doubt about it, even since I was a young kid. And it was definitely positive, but there's also negative aspects of that as well, for sure, and Tutu is also a massive influence on my life. Tutu and Papa, by far the two most influential figures in my life, for sure. Even from being a young kid, for sure. Some of it was maybe subconsciously or unconsciously, but also consciously at the same time. I really revere and respect and love Tutu and Papa. They're amazing people. And I've been heavily influenced by both of them significantly. Probably more so by Papa because, I'm a male and he's my father. And so, there's just kind of deeply embedded psychological animal things, like we're always going to want to we're going to assimilate, I would think, to be more like the same sex of our parent figures, more than likely, right? Like, Tutu was kind of a mother figure for you, and you have a lot of similar qualities, but also a lot of different qualities. You have a lot of qualities that are similar to me as well. So, same. I have a lot of qualities that I've mirrored in both Tutu and Papa, and the things that, I think are really good and positive in them that I always found like really great to assimilate and put into myself. And some of the negative qualities I've tried to not have as part of my personality, but also as a result, I also have my own negative qualities, if you want to call them that, for sure. So maybe I'll just focus on, Papa for a minute and then Tutu as well. So Papa, like I mentioned, was the biggest influence, has been, and likely, not even likely, he always will be my biggest influence in my life. So as part of, kind of the positive aspects or maybe parts of his character that have influenced me the most is that, number one, everybody loves Papa. And he wasn't trying to, I mean, this is, the biggest part about it, what I've always, loved about Papa and probably have mirrored in myself. Or not even probably, it is what I've mirrored in myself, like Papa. The old man, your papa, my dad, he never tried to be anybody that he wasn't. You know, he had a real sense of ease about him. It actually, when he got older, it was a lot more ease because, you know, he just really didn't give a shit. You know, after his stroke and heart attack, I mean, he always had that sense about him, but he really didn't give a shit. Very authentically after that. And so he always had an ease about him. So people probably liked him even more when he got older. When he was younger, he was definitely, he's quite the character for sure. But he really had an ease about him that I think put everyone else around him at ease, because he was completely okay in whatever situation he was in. Didn't matter, you know? And I think that even, and I don't mean that in like the easiest of times, but also in the hardest of times. Because, you know, I can imagine and I know, and I've seen Papa in other situations that are stressful. He was always very steadfast, had his head on, even-tempered. Sometimes he'd get a little crazy, and these are probably qualities that I do take from him, because for the most part, I am pretty steadfast, pretty laid back, but every once in a while there are certain things that irk me, that get me agitated. But I always come back to my sense of calm, and you know, these are things that I've picked up from Papa, no doubt about it. These are, you know, some of my best qualities actually, which are that too, you know, because there is an ease about me, but it's because I've seen that from Papa, you know, like just be who you are, man. Things will work themselves out. Be authentic with who you are. And I think there is a natural ease that comes with that. And people like you as a result. You know, that's just I'm not looking for people to like me, and nor was Papa, but people just do. When they see that you're okay with yourself, then they feel okay to be with you, and they actually want to be with you. So that was probably Papa's biggest quality or strength that I kind of assimilated into my own life, or maybe life lesson that I've assimilated in my own life. And there's other aspects, like Papa knew a lot of shit. He was a super smart guy. And it wasn't like, you know, probably he does have some natural level of intellect, right? Like he had a good brain, and so did his dad, and probably so did his dad. And, you know, I think that was definitely passed down to your uncles and I, for sure. Like, we have a natural intellect. We have a good brain, you know, like it's not like we're rocket scientists, and we're definitely not dummies, but we have just a naturally good working brain. And so just that alone is like, that's a massive benefit. But you know, it doesn't matter if you're gifted with anything, it's really what you do with it. And so Papa, you know, whatever he was interested in, he would just go for and become excellent at it. Didn't matter what it was, you know, he was really good at a lot of things. You know, maybe you didn't know that Papa had a baseball scholarship. He was really good at sports. He was strong as an ox. You know, ask the nurses who helped him out, like he was incredibly strong, physically. And then mentally, I mean, he could literally do anything he wanted. Obviously, he was a lawyer. He had a great memory, but you know, he went to school when he was older to learn how to build. Like, he built, you've seen it, he built Tutu and Papa's house. You know, him and Tutu designed it, Tutu drafted it up. And he put himself through school and he learned how to build stuff. And then he was like an amateur mechanic. He really liked mechanical stuff and figuring out how things work and how to fix them. And that heavily influenced me. It's definitely influenced Kyle. Kyle is very much like Papa. So is Kevin. All three of us are just like Papa, just different aspects of him. And, you know, probably what's a little bit different for me is I have a brain that really likes to do a whole bunch of, get really good at a whole bunch of stuff. You know, and that's where Papa was at. He was really good at a lot of different things. And, you know, the term for that is a Renaissance man. Howdy. And definitely, without a doubt, you know, I mirror myself in that, and that's been a big part of who I am. Like, I try and, well, let me back up a minute. So being a Renaissance man basically means learning or diving in depth in a number of different subjects and being adequate enough in your understanding of these subjects to either talk or act intelligently and with proficiency about whatever that subject is. All right, I mean, that's essentially what a Renaissance man or woman is. And, you know, like it was interesting because I don't want to say never. Like, I always respected that about Papa, but I didn't really initiate that aspect in myself until, you know, especially at all of these different levels, until I was probably, you know, in my early 30s or so. Yeah, kind of interesting. Oh, sorry, just turning around. But I never really, you know, I don't want to say I was like, well, I don't even want to say that. Yeah, I was a little bit lost in my 20s. Like, I knew I had ability, but I was also struggling because, you know, as a single dad, I didn't know if I wanted a partner. You know, you're my daughter, and, you know, like, there is a lot of things for me to consider, and I hadn't, when I was in my 20s, I didn't do enough self development, or maybe self inspection, like really deep dive into myself and what makes me tick. You know, that didn't start coming out in me until probably around my early 30s. You know, I don't know what happened exactly, why I was in such a waiting mode, but it doesn't really matter because eventually I did. You know, like, I guess I was really just trying to figure out who I was in my 20s, maybe through externalities, right? That's maybe the best way to say it. You know, externalities, like trying new things, or, you know, seeing how good I could become at carpentry or whatever the case was. I didn't deep dive into who Casey was when I was younger in my 20s. That didn't happen until my 30s. And man, thank God I did, because it's really brought out aspects of me that I've always wanted. Or not even that I've always wanted, just things that I've known that are there. Right? Like, I wasn't getting aligned with who Casey actually was. Like, my deeper soul was in there, but I didn't let it out. I didn't even start investigating who really is this soul. until I was probably in my 30s. And even now, I'm still doing that. I'm still learning more about myself. And I don't think, it's not even I don't think, I know things didn't really start moving for me in a positive direction internally until I started to do that, until I started to ask those questions, until I started, really learning more about myself, what makes me tick, things that I'm interested in. And then it's just naturally, it's been a natural, I guess we could say, evolution or progression into who I am today and who I continue to be, right? Because life is dynamic, it's ever changing. We are not, 1 second ago back there, I wasn't the same person that I am right this moment. And I think just being aware of that, and then being like legitimately, like really being grateful to be alive and for the people who I have around me, actually like zooming out of who I am as a human being and who I am, understanding that I'm a soul, has really helped me internally. And honestly, like that would have never been possible if I didn't kind of follow Papa and Tutu's lead. There are heavy influences on me for a reason. And, maybe I could have gotten to this point on my own. I guess there's always that possibility, but the probability of that is also very low because I had really great teachers and guides in Tutu and Papa who valued and prioritized like all the good parts of life. And not everybody has that. And so, I think it just goes to show the importance of having people like that in your life and how much of a difference it can make, not just in your overall trajectory of your life, what you do in life and, your happiness and things that you prioritize and do with your life, but also like how it boils down to just the everyday. Because like at the everyday, like I assimilate and I do my best to bring out the best parts of my soul and really let my light and who I am shine through. And that is a result of Tutu and Papa showing me the way. So, yeah, really great. Anyways, so I know this is a little bit of a long video, but I just got to talking and thinking and being grateful and being present, and things just happen. So anyways, hopefully you like that. Hopefully that was a nice little video, give you some more insight into your pop. And anyway, I think this will be the only video I make today. Good one, but a long one, and that's okay. So I'm gonna finish up this bike ride, get home, get on with the day. Hope you have a great day, kiddo. Love you. See you on the next one. Bye.